So all this week, we are talking with Susquehanna Valley elections offices to answer your questions on the elections process. I'm now joined by Commissioner Ray D'Agostino, the chair of the Lancaster County Elections Board. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I want to start with a report from the Brookings Institution that cites Lancaster County as one of the counties in the swing states, sparking high concern that Lancaster may try not to certify the election results. Now, first, of course, it's concerning that Lancaster is even on this list, but why do you think there's reason for them to believe Lancaster won't certify the election results?
I have no idea whatsoever, quite frankly. This is news to me, breaking news. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense. We've never had a problem, quite frankly, in Lancaster County, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, tell us then about your process. What are you doing to make sure the votes are certified, counted, and processed properly?
So we go through a process every election, and everything we do has to meet the three principles that we hold dear, which is veracity, integrity, and transparency. Everything we do has to meet those three principles. And we have really fantastic election workers that are full-time. We have folks that are part-time. We have election volunteers. We've been a county that's never had a problem with, quite frankly, having enough people to run our polls, to run our elections, not like some other counties which are struggling with that. We've always been able to have enough people to run our elections, and we have a plan. We have a plan, and we've implemented it in the past. We've never had a problem with certifying results or having results in a timely manner.
And, on top of securing the results, are there increased safety measures and security measures for voters, election staff, and poll workers in Lancaster?
Absolutely. So ever since mail ballots have become a thing, we have treated them like the currency of our democratic constitutional republic. And if you think about the currency, I use that term purposely because we think of money as currency of our economy and how well we take care of our currency in that respect. We look at it the same way here in Lancaster County. So people have to have confidence that when they're sending or bringing their mail ballot in, that it is actually being secured behind multiple layers of security. And that there is a process by which people can feel secure about the handling of those. And it's very visible too. We've never had a problem with people being able to watch how we handle and process those on election day and even after election day, quite frankly. Same thing with our poll equipment. We have logic and accuracy testing, programming of our poll machines, and people have viewed those things. So people should have the utmost confidence here in Lancaster County because, again, veracity, integrity, and transparency all on display.
You brought up the election machine. So is there a plan in place in case a machine goes down? What would happen?
Absolutely. We have backups. We have backups to backups, as we say, and we're ready to go with respect to that as well.
And what's your advice for residents in Lancaster? Should they vote early or should they wait till Election Day? What would you advise?
Well, if they want to vote early, the Pennsylvania way, which is to come into your elections office and request, receive, and turn in a mail ballot. That has to be done by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So tomorrow, being the 29th, per the election code, we have to have those applications in. Now, if people are in line at 5 o'clock in our office and it takes a little longer to get to you, we will get to you past 5. You just have to be in line by 5 o'clock. Same thing online. If you're requesting a ballot online, then the application has to be in by 5 o'clock. Then people can turn in the ballot after that. They have until 8 p.m. on election night. Now in Lancaster County, we have extended office hours. So tonight we're open until 7. Thursday we're open until 7, this Thursday coming up. This Friday till 8 p.m. And then on Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon, Monday till 5 p.m. And then on election night, they have until 8 p.m. to turn it in.
And of course we have to talk about the evidence that was found with fraudulent voter registrations. Can you talk to us about what you're now learning about that? Has something like this happened before in Lancaster, and how was this particular batch spotted?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, people make mistakes, and we all make mistakes filling out forms. This was not that to a large extent. We're talking about two individuals who have two different batches, up to 2,500, around 2,500 voter registration applications. And the indication, as I said during the press conference on Friday, was that many of these seemed to be in the same handwriting, including signatures. That was a tip-off. The voter registration and election staff contacted the district attorney's office and the Board of Elections members, and then from there the investigation began. As far as I know, the number, the volume of this, and what the district attorney's office is finding in terms of the numbers of fraudulent applications, I'm not aware of precedents here.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about that? Like, this wasn't done to tip the elections one way or another, or to help one party or the other. It was just fake fraudulent registrations, period.
So these are voter registrations. We have no evidence of mail ballot applications like that, which is a different process. So it's voter registration applications. And then what I could tell people is that they could feel secure in knowing that this is the kind of thing that voter registration election staff are looking for. And when we see it, we're going to call it, we're going to find it, we're going to deal with it. And quite frankly, we need to make an example of these folks who've done this, because anything that tampers with the integrity of our election system, whether it's voter registration or not, any part of our election system, is just flat out wrong, and we're going to catch it, and they need to be prosecuted. And I know our DA is going to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for your time. Really appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.